Look at your hands. They are soft. They are unmarred by the physical realities of the natural world. If you turn off the lights in your room tonight, you do so knowing that the darkness is empty. The walls of your house are not just keeping out the cold weather. They are keeping out the wild. They are keeping out the teeth. We live in a world where we have entirely erased the concept of the predator. We look at ourselves as the undisputed rulers of this planet. We assume that dominance is our birthright. We view our place at the top of the food chain as an inevitability of evolution. But this comfort is a historical lie. It is a very recent luxury. For 99% of our evolutionary history, we were not the rulers of the biosphere. We were a highly vulnerable, mid-tier primate. We were a species of hairless, clawless apes. We were slow. Our night vision was practically non-existent. We were surrounded on all sides by highly specialized, biological killing machines. Which begs a question that changes everything we think we know about our own resilience. When the darkness was full of monsters, how did ancient humans actually survive the world's deadliest predators? To understand the miracle of our survival, we must first look at the scale of the nightmare our ancestors inherited. During the late Pleistocene epoch, 30,000 years ago, the landscape was populated by predators that dwarf anything alive today. In Europe, humans shared the landscape with the Eurasian cave lion, Panthera spelaea. These beasts were 15% larger than a modern African lion, weighing up to 700 pounds. Alongside them was the cave hyena, sporting jaws capable of exerting 1,100 pounds of pressure per square inch. That is enough force to turn a human femur into splinters in a fraction of a second. In North America, it was worse. Humans faced the short-faced bear, Arctodus simus. It stood 12 feet tall on its hind legs. It could run at speeds of 40 miles per hour. It was a hypercarnivore built for the sole purpose of chasing down and killing large mammals. For decades, early archaeology operated under a specific paradigm. It was called the man-the-hunted hypothesis. Scientists believed that early humans were purely victims. We were the prey. We were a secondary food source for the true masters of the Ice Age. But the fossil record preserves a different story. A story of brutal, calculated retaliation. Consider a groundbreaking discovery made at the site of Siegsdorf, Germany. In 1985, researchers unearthed the largely intact skeleton of an ancient cave lion. The bones were dated to approximately 48,000 years ago. For years, it was viewed as just another fossil. Then came modern forensic analysis. Scientists subjected the lion's third rib to high-resolution microscopic scanning. They found a deep, localized impact wound. The trajectory of the wound was precise. It entered from behind. It pierced the rib cage at a sharp angle. It was the exact mark left by a wooden, thrusting spear. This was not a defensive wound. This was not a human scratching at a beast that had cornered them in a dark cave. It was an ambush. A coordinated group of Neanderthals had tracked an apex predator, approached it from its blind spot, and executed it. Now look at the Einhornhole cave system in Germany. Deep within the subterranean layers, archaeologists recovered thousands of cave bear bones. When they analyzed the marks on these bones, they found a pattern. The bones bore distinct, V-shaped incisions. These are the unmistakable signatures of knapped flint tools. Our ancestors weren't just avoiding these monsters. They were invading their homes. They were killing them inside their dens. They were stripping their hides to make cold-weather clothing. They were turning the teeth of their predators into necklaces. How did a physically weak primate achieve this? They did it by weaponizing distance and energy. They invented the throwing spear and the atlatl. The atlatl acts as a mechanical extension of the human arm. It leverages basic physics to launch a projectile at over 80 miles per hour. It allowed humans to inflict lethal damage from 40 yards away. They broke the predator's greatest advantage, close-quarters combat. And then, they domesticated fire. Fire is a force of nature that every animal instinctively fears. To an animal, fire means death. Humans learned to control this terror. They used fire defensively to create a perimeter of light that no predator would dare cross. They used it offensively, using torches to smoke giant cave bears out of deep caverns, driving them directly into prepared kill zones. There is a profound disconnect between the world we built and the biology we carry inside us. Today, we have achieved total safety. We have insulated ourselves from the natural food chain. You can walk through your city at midnight without a single thought of being hunted. You do not look at the shadows beneath the trees with primal dread. Yet, our psychological state tells a different story. Human anxiety has never been higher. Our nervous systems are still entirely calibrated for the Pleistocene. Your brain is structurally identical to the brain of the hunter who faced the Siegsdorf lion 48,000 years ago. We evolved to thrive under intense, localized, physical pressure. In the ancient world, stress was acute. It was brief. It was a sudden spike of adrenaline when a bush rustled in the dark. It was the absolute clarity of a life-or-death struggle. Once the threat was gone, the nervous system returned to a state of deep, restorative rest. Today, our threats are abstract. They are chronic. They are invisible. We worry about digital algorithms, financial instability, and social status. When you receive a stressful email from your employer, Your body does not know the difference between a corporate deadline and a short-faced bear. It floods your bloodstream with the exact same cascade of cortisol and adrenaline. But there is no physical release. There is no monster to run from, and there is no spear to throw. The stress simply sits there. It stagnates inside our tissues. It erodes our health. To achieve modern infrastructure and physical safety, we made a catastrophic trade. We traded physical vulnerability for perpetual psychological friction. We built a world so perfectly insulated from real danger that our own minds have become our primary predators. We are haunted by ghosts of threats that no longer exist. When we look back at the history of our survival, we see that our greatest strength was never our physical power. It was our capacity for collective trust. We did not survive the predators of the ancient world because we were stronger. We survived because we learned to operate as a single, coordinated organism. We shared information across generations. We told stories around the fire. We turned our shared vulnerability into an unbreakable bond. The ancient predators forced us to become intelligent. They forced us to become cooperative. They were the crucible that forged the human spirit. As you sit in the quiet comfort of your modern room tonight, listen closely to the silence. The monsters are gone from the woods. The periphery is safe, but the vigilance remains. It is the permanent legacy of a species that had to look into the darkness, see the teeth waiting in the shadows, and decide to survive anyway.